Hey class, we're going to get started on some floor plans in our textbook through CAD, and wanted to give you a lecture and a little worksheet of the alphabet of lines in architectural drawing. These lines honestly stay true throughout the entire building industry, whether it's residential, commercial, mechanical, electrical, engineering, all of the different things. These are really basic line types that are building industry standard. So what are they? These are the basic lines that you should memorize, get used to, know what you're looking at, because blueprint reading is all about being able to read the different symbols and objects that the two-dimensional drawing is providing for us. And I'm going to show you an example in this video of a floor plan, and we'll talk about these basic lines. So let's just start with it. An object line. An object line is what we're going to be doing to draw our exterior walls. Exterior walls, interior walls, doors, windows. These are objects, right? So just think about it as objects. It's a certain thickness. You can see above object line on the right-hand side, border line is a little bit darker. This would be my border around the entire plan, called a title box. It would be on the outer edge, and it's just a little bit bolder, right, than the object line. Then we jump down to a hidden line, which is just a continuous same size line with the spacing in between it. And what a hidden line is, just remember it as something's hiding in that two-dimensional drawing that you're looking at, meaning something's above or something's below. So we have to be aware of that, saying, okay, what's going on here? Oh, it's the upper cabinets, because we could go over to another page in our drawings and look at the elevation and see that the hidden line is actually representing upper cabinets in a two-dimensional floor plan. Or maybe it's a structural beam. Maybe we have an open floor plan and we have some beams because it needs to carry the second floor weight of our structure. We will have beams, but they will be hidden because sometimes they're above the ceiling, right? Above the ceiling, so we can't see them, but we have to be able to know that they're there for many different reasons. I have some examples of these lines throughout this slideshow, so I won't spend too much more time on this one, but extension lines, they extend from objects. They extend from the object lines. So you're going to see when we start our foundation plan in CAD, we're going to be looking at dimensions, and we're going to be saying, okay, from this corner to this corner, that line, that object line needs to be 25 feet. And then we either go up or down, right, depending on what the floor plan is going to tell us. But extension lines are telling us, and then you can see the dimension line, it's using arrows from extension line to extension line. So that 25 feet, we're going to see those extension lines coming from the corners, and then we're going to see this dimension line going from, hey, this line to this line is 25 feet. Sometimes you'll see a tick mark, which is just a 45-degree angled line at that connection of the dimension line to the extension line. Okay, so let's go through some of these in this slideshow. Object line looks like a border line to me because it's just highlighted, but it's highlighted for this slide, so not to confuse you with what I was talking about earlier. But this represents the main outline of an object, such as a building, a wall, a walkway, right? Most commonly used line in all drawings, so we will constantly be using this object line. You have been with working on just the simple shapes that you were doing in the past couple weeks. Those are object lines. Dimension lines, oh, this is a better representation. So here's your extension line. This is a good, this PowerPoint I'll put up in so you can refer back to these descriptions here. But what it's telling us is there's a 1/16 inch gap from the view, so they are not confused with the visible line or the object line. So see right here, if we zoomed into there, there's a space there. This is standard, 1/16 inch is building industry standard to be away from an object line. It just shows the disconnect, right? And it brings our mind when we're blueprint reading to say, okay, this is not together, so this is an extension line, because look, here's a dimension line. So I'm reading the drawing, I'm reading the plan based on these simple basic lines. Over here on the right hand side with the dimension lines, you can see 3 different sets of lines going horizontally. So, and we can see in this floor plan that there's a couple jogs and windows and doors, right? So your outer line is always, always, always your overall dimension. What is the width of this house from left to right? And then the next line is any major wall jogs. So here we have this bump in for the front door. So I'm breaking out those dimensions as well too. And then the third line, the line closest to your wall, is always your windows and doors. And yes, there is a standard for the dimension between these. I don't get too, I don't beat you up too much for grading purposes. I'm making sure that these are a certain dimension. What's important for me to see on your drawings is consistency. See how these are all lined up very nicely and they look like they're an equal distance away from each other. So for this class, it's more about the consistency. The hidden line. So again, this is used to show features of edges or an object that is not visible. So on the staircase, this is a great representation. So we can see the object lines going up the staircase here. We can see the landing, and this is where we would turn to go up. These other lines are different, and we'll talk about that on another slide, but these are representing the floor. So this is the first floor, this is the second floor. And then look what happens to our staircase. This is called a stringer. This is a stringer, and these treads, we step on a tread, go into the stringer and it all gets built in. But this is a piece of wood, so we can't see the actual tread or the rise of the stairs. So they show it as hidden, like, hey, it's there, right? Center line. Center line is used to locate the center of a feature or an object. So the center line you can see is longer and shorter line segments throughout. Here is a diameter and it's showing a cross point here. So we can have an intersection when we're working with this one. Dimension lines, extension lines. I can't talk about these enough because you're going to be working on a floor plan for the next couple of weeks, and it's really critical and important that you're reading your textbook, you're reading your plan properly. So just go over this, and if you have any questions, let me know. Leaders. A leader line is basically one of our tools in our drawing programs that we can add text and be very specific, pointing at an object or a detail that we want to add some building industry general notes to. The cutting plane line is representing a cut through our through our drawing, whether it's a building or an object. Over here in the lower right corner, these are more objects, right, mechanically done. So houses, residential, commercial, buildings and houses and such, we cut them vertically and we cut them horizontally. Horizontally, we're looking at that in a floor plan, aren't we? We kind of take the house and we just cut a line right straight through it from left to right horizontally, and we pull that up and then we look inside and we look at what's going on. That's a 2-dimensional floor plan. Cross sections, where you can see, or a 3-dimensional cut in a object or a building, we're cutting that vertically. And so we represent these different things, and in a house or a building, when we cut it vertically, we can see what's going on the inside. We can see the floor joist system. We can see the insulation in the walls. We can see what the exterior material is made up of, how many layers, right? So we can see the guts of what's happening on the inside of these objects and buildings. But this is what you will see in the floor plan as far as a cutting plane line. And typically there would be a indication here at the end of that arrow, like what page to go look at this cross section, or what detail this is. This is cross section A or B. So there'll be some type of representation to go find this drawing that it's cutting your object or building through. Break lines are kind of what they sound like. They're a break in an object or wall or staircase. So what this is representing is, again, we're looking at this in 2-dimensional, so it's hard to be able to see that, oh, okay, I could go up this way, hit this landing, and continue to go up. But I can also go down to the basement. So going up to the 2nd floor, going down to the basement. Think about staircases, right? They're always stacked on top of each other. Whether it's a building or if it's a residential home, your staircases are stacked. So in a drawing, we represent it with this break line. So it says, hey, this is continued this way. And yes, this is continued this way as well, too. Over here on the right, you can see this upper one, thick wall outlines, right? And then there's a break line at the bottom of the wall. That means there's more to it, okay? There's more to it. Here is your section line. So this is what I was talking about with the cutting plane. We cut that building vertically, and now we have section lines. And then you can see these cutting plane lines. So there's more detail representation. And here's that circle with the information of what page I could go to see more detail of even this cross section. This cross section is giving me so much detail. Here's a perfect example of the staircase, right? Stacked on top of each other. So if we're looking at this in plan view, say we cut this horizontally this way, looking down, we're not going to see that this staircase can go down as well too. Well, actually, it's over here, isn't it? Excuse me. If this staircase was going this way, right, we could use a cutting plane line to show that, hey, this stair goes up, but it also goes down. So crossed my words there as I was talking and looking at it. I noticed that, oh no, the staircase doesn't come down from the right to left. But anyways, you know what I mean. I hope. It's hard doing these videos alone sometimes, not having interaction from my class. Other great information on this cross section, you can see the different levels of floors, floor joists, and foundation area here in the cross section. And just so you know, cross sections will have a ton of notes around this, calling out different size materials, insulation, finishes. You got a cathedral ceiling here. Is this a truss roof, or is it stick framed with 2x12s? So we'll have all of these different details. The building inspectors are very interested in this page in particular in our working drawings because it's a lot of building code related information. This is just representation and more cross sections. Here's a nice one of landscape, what's happening on a hillside in relationship to plantings and such. This is a representation. Here's a bunch of lines here. A representation of lines in this mechanically drawn CAD object. So you could take a look at that. And when I upload this PowerPoint for you. In this drawing that will be on the PowerPoint, I have all of the lines pretty much represented in this drawing. I have hidden lines representing over here in this family room area. You can see this is actually representing my cathedral, a new cathedral that was built in here. You can see the object lines everywhere. You can see cross sections. This is a horizontal cut in our structure, right? So we're looking at this in 2-dimensional. You can see all the doors and the windows, even the cabinetry and appliances. Hidden lines, this is representing a proposed deck that's going out back. There's a front porch over here with a beam. You're going to see some hidden lines there as well too, and all sorts of general notes. So this was a project that I was lucky enough to work on in the past year, and it was an existing house with an addition, and you can see that representation right here with some leader lines and some arrows. You'll also notice that on my dimension lines, I use tick marks instead of those arrows. So just a different way of doing it. Different companies, different designers, we tend to stick with, learn one way, like it, and stick with it. So you just kind of follow, if you're working in an architectural firm or what have you, you just follow suit to what they're doing. But sometimes we create our own too after a while. You could almost not tell that this was an existing house to an addition. It blends so well. So that's what we do as architectural designers and try to make it look like it's always been there. Anyways, you'll have a worksheet on this. So I'll upload the PowerPoint and you'll have this video